This is very precarious. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, okay. Do not fall, do not fall. Okay, oh, sheesh. Thumbnails are painful. Goodness. Everybody, yep, it's been a while. Sorry. So this is going to be a book haul slash catch up because I got a lot of books I've hauled. I'm only going to include the ones I've recently bought in the past like 4 or 5 months, I believe it is, because there's a lot of books I haven't shown you that I have hauled, but otherwise this video would be like 2 hours long. So yeah, let's get started. So today I have a haul of 12 books total, most of which came from Chapters Indigo. Love you, Chapters. Love you, Indigo. I love you. Just putting that out there. Just saying. Only 2 of these books came from Amazon instead of Chapters. I'll let you know which ones those are. Okay, let's just begin. The first book is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I'm sorry, I am horrible with author names. Anyways, I have heard so much critical acclaim from both BookTube and in the general bookish community. So in Chapters, I picked up this book, briefly read the dust jacket, and I thought, dang, that sounds pretty good. I've heard really good things about it. It looks cool as heck. So I bought it, even though it was like 25 bucks, but it's beautiful. I wanted it in hardcover. So I don't know, I can't remember a whole lot about this book because it's been a while since I've bought it. I do plan to read it. It's on my TBR, of course. It's just sometimes I want to read certain things, and right now I'm not feeling this one. Right now lately I've been reading more dystopia. The story centers around Zeli Adebola. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name exactly. I should really look it up. She lives in a world that used to be full of magic. And then this new king was like, nah, I don't like magic. We're getting rid of it. It's banned. I'm like, off with you. Everybody who's a magic bearer and practitioner. And so now she is trying to fight, Zeli is trying to fight to get magic back into this world and make it prevalent again. Of course, nothing can be easy for these protagonists because as they try to fight, Zeli's power grows and so do her feelings for an enemy. The next book that I got was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is one of the 2 that was purchased from Amazon, and my mom bought it for me as part of a birthday present. This book follows Cole as he travels to the southern continent to find out whether or not it is possible to overcome his newfound disability of not being able to use his legs. Nesrin, his new lover, accompanies him on this journey, but as traveling over rocky waves is rocky, so too does their relationship become rocky. I swear I'm a writer. Words coming out of my mouth can be a little difficult. After reaching the southern continent, they try to meet with the Kagan to try to get his support in their upcoming war. However, this proves to be much more difficult than first thought. And right after this initial meeting, Cole meets with Urin Towers, a renowned healer in Antica. And together the 2 do not get off to a very good start, but nonetheless they try to find a way to heal Cole. I have already read this book. I thought it was very enjoyable, even though for me it was a dragging read just because I wasn't really in the mood to do fantasy, but I was in the middle of rereading the Throne of Glass series, which I was really into, and then also I was like, I'm in the mood to read some dystopia now as I started reading this, so not the best time, I guess, for me. Either way, I did thoroughly enjoy this book, and I thought it was like a side novel in this world. However, it is part of the main story. You really do need to read it in order to understand some of the lore that was hidden up until this book, because it's going to be important for the final installment, which I am so excited about. So read this book, buy this book. Next book that I've got, which was also from Amazon, and I believe my mom bought it for me. I'm not sure if it was for a birthday present or something else, just because we both wanted to read it, so, but she gave it to me to own for my bookshelf, is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. Now, if anybody follows me on Twitter, you'll know that I am a mess when it comes to A Number in the Ashes series. I love it. Two Pieces is one of my top 5 all-time favorite books, the first book. And then of course she came out with these beautiful new covers, and I want to own them all. So far I only have the 3rd book here. In the new cover you get to see the actual characters. I love that so much. Our 3 main heroes are separated, unfortunately. Dang it. Elias, Leia, my ship, they're being separated and I don't like it, but I understand. Sabaa, I understand. But I also hate you. But I love you. As they are separated, Helen Aquila is preparing for basically a civil war against the Commandant, as she is the blood shrike of the Emperor Marcus. And things get pretty gory and intense on her side. Meanwhile, Leia travels to another country to try to help, to try to find support for her people and to rebel against not just the Commandant but also the Empire in general, and she takes more of a leading role in this rebellion that is forming. And you find out more about some powers that somehow she's starting to show that are very interesting. Ooh. You learn more about it than what was initially written in the 2nd book. It's very good progression for powers. And finally, Elias has given over his life to become a soul catcher in this forest. And my poor baby, he goes through so much. And none of these people deserve what they have coming, but they deal with it anyways. And then I am waiting in great anticipation for the 4th book. And even though all 3 of these characters are separated in this installment, they still meet and they're still part of each other's destinies very much so. They're all entwined. They can't help it. They need to figure out a way to work together in a sense while being apart. And I think that is beautifully explored in this installment. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love you, Sabaa Tahir. I want to meet you so bad, because then I could just give you a hug. And also, Elias, Helen, Leia must live. Be happy. They must. Must. You can't hurt my babies. No. No. Basically what I'm saying is, go buy this book. It's amazing. I've already read it. Just go buy it. It is part of this haul, but I mean, I also need to showcase Sabaa Tahir's beautiful work. Do it. Buy it. I will read it to you if you need it to be done. Go borrow it from the library. I'm pretty sure it's in audiobook form by now. It has to be. It has to be. It's too good to not be. The next book that I got was The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I know, I can't believe I haven't read it. The movie's out, obviously, by the cover of this. This was the only cover that I could find at Chapters at the time. And initially I bought it as a present for my sister, but she already bought it for herself. So I was like, well, you know what? This is my copy then. So there. So there. I have not read it. I have not read this yet. I mean to. I know I am behind by quite a few years and the entire series, to be very honest. This centers around the character Ruby, who on her 10th birthday woke up to find she had these new powers and abilities that she can't control, and it's very frightening to her parents. Then all of a sudden many children in America exhibit these different and frightening abilities and they can't control them, so they're all put into camps. But now that Ruby is 16, she manages to escape and she joins up with other kids like her. And this follows them running away. And as badly as I want to watch the movie, I'm not letting myself until I read this book because I've heard it's amazing. My sister has been raving about it. She loves dystopian, and this has become one of her new favorites. The next book that I got is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stievater. I'm sorry, author names, I swear. Anyways, this is not the cover that I really wanted because I've seen other covers that look absolutely amazing. I wanted them really bad. But this was the one that was available at the time, and it was fairly cheap because it's paperback, it's a different cover, and so I figured, why not? I've been meaning to buy it. I've heard such great things. I don't really know much about it. I had to read the back of the book before I actually started recording this. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the back. Every year, Blue Sergeant stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be-dead walk past. Blue never sees them until this year when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks to her. And this boy happens to be part of a all-boys private school where all the boys are referred to as the Raven Boys. And then she becomes entangled in their Neals, and romantic feelings ensue for perhaps one or more of the boys she gets to know. And the last paragraph says, which is the real big kicker, sounds interesting, is, for as long as she can remember, Blue's been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She doesn't believe in true love and never thought this would be a problem, but as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore. So it sounds like it's a dark, twisted love story type of thing with death and ghosts and all that. So it seems like it would be a good fall read for me. The next book I got is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I was like covering up the name. I read Unwind when I was in high school and I loved it. I didn't realize until now that it was a series, so I'm gonna have to revisit that when I can. Anyways, I've heard such amazing things. Emma Books was raving about it, so it was one of her favorites of the year. So of course I had to pick it up. It sounds so interesting. Is in a world that is become basically a utopia thanks to this AI called the Thunderhead that has gotten rid of world hunger and war and is taking care of everybody's needs, knows how to fix it and has fixed it, and also has fixed death. So basically humans are immortal in this, which is a problem considering global population still grows. So they then create the Scythedom. People who are Scyths then learn the art of gleaning, aka killing people for good, in order to curb the population a little bit. This is perfectly accepted by the society that they live in because they realize the dangers of constant growth. And besides, after you've lived for a few hundred years, you figure, I think I'm ready to go. So yeah, but the catch is anybody could be gleaned at any time in their life, whether they are 400 years old or they are 4 years old. It all depends on the choices of the Sith, who are to remain unbiased and perfectly neutral when it comes to death. And the thing is, the Thunderhead is not allowed to interfere with the Sithdom. So things are starting to get a little messy in the Sithdom because some people are starting to show bias and a love for killing. This book follows in training Siths, Citra and Rowan. They learn how to best glean the art of killing and where their morals should lie. There is adventure, gore, romance. It's fantastic. I love this cover with how their faces are outlined by the Scythe that they have. It's absolutely beautiful and fantastic. It's won an award, I think. I can't really read it. I very recently finished this, and I loved it to pieces so much that I also got Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman, which I am currently almost halfway through. This is the sequel to Scythe that continues to follow Citra and Rowan as they learn even more the negative things that are going on in Scythdom and how they're trying to fix it. One goes violent, one is neutral, and I'm really trying not to let it go. Because, yeah, anyways, read these books. They're amazing. And I think there's supposed to be a third one coming out hopefully next year. We'll see. I love them so much. It's such an interesting concept. It really makes you think about philosophy and morals and death even. So it's also another good October fall read, considering it's a little gory, a little dark. Very good. Next book that I got is Escaping from Houdini by Kerri Maniscalco. Kerri Maniscalco. It sounds like Italian. Anyways, this is the third installment of the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which I loved. Thank you to Sasha for recommending this to BookTube in general. It's a fantastic historical fiction read that also deals a lot with feminism. So in this installment, Audrey, Rose, and Thomas are on a ship to America. And I'll just read the inside because it's a very short blurb. It's going to offer you a lot of info. Audrey Rose Wadsworth and her ever-vexing companion Thomas Cresswell set sail on the luxurious RMS Etruria en route to their next investigation in America. On board the ship's 7 nights of carnival entertainment, starring a promising young escape artist, proved to be the perfect distraction from the grim task that awaits. But the voyage quickly descends into a horror show when young women begin turning up dead. For Audrey Rose, the Moonlight Carnival, with its disturbing acts and bizarre characters, becomes a nightmarish backdrop to her search for answers, with clues to the next victim's identity pointing to someone she loves. Can Audrey Rose unravel the mystery before the killer's horrifying finale? So once again, this is a very high stakes. I feel like this is a higher stakes one than the previous two even, so I'm very interested to read it and to just whiz through it very quickly. And also, I love reading about magic and escape artists. That's always fun. I love Now You See Me. It was such a good movie. And I did not get it. I was trying to guess it throughout the whole time, but I didn't get it. Anyways, I'm hoping I might be able to guess the murderer in this one, because I love that about murder mysteries. You try to guess who the murderer is. Most of the time I'm wrong. It's a good thing I'm not a detective. Yeah. Also, I love Audrey Rose and Thomas's relationship. It's just so fantastic to read, and it's refreshing when it's set in this time period that is very oppressive to women much of the time. I also think this is going to be a great October read, considering it has murder and mystery involved. Ooh. 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 The next book that I got is actually a graphic novel. It is Wires and Nerves Volume 2, called Gone Rogue by Marissa Meyer with art by Stephen Gilpin. I loved the first installment so much. I love being able to see the characters and watch their relationships unfold through these pictures and through the words and conversations they have. It was fantastic, and I am probably going to quickly reread the first one before I get into this one. I love Nico from the Cinder series. She was one of the best parts for me. Her character was so wonderful and refreshing and vibrant. So in this book, Iko and the gang are faced with another big looming battle ahead of them that could change the course of their world. And as this occurs, Iko finds new information, possibly disturbing, about her unusual programming. And also, as this happens, she's falling in love with a new person in their group. Which brings the question of, can a robot love? I love that idea. It's very interesting. Thank you, Marissa Meyer. I love you. Thank you for doing this, for looking into Iko's story. It's, oh, I love it so much. How do you do it? How? Wonderful. How? The next book that I got is Wildcard by Mary Lou. I got this, I think, a day or two after it was released. I saw it in chapters with my friend. I just went, I must have it. I must have it. I must. This is the second book in the Warcross series. This follows Emeka Chen after she finds out Hideo's true grim plan for the Neuralink. She wants to stop him from going through with his plan, so she teams up with the Phoenix Riders to overthrow him. However, things do not always go as planned, and they don't go as smoothly. I mean, honestly, Hideo, he's a really smart dude, and he's very rich, so obviously these underdogs are going to have a bit of trouble. With this book, Emeka will be dealing with these feelings of betrayal from Hideo. She was starting to fall deeply in love with in Warcross. And we get to see how these feelings of love might turn into something else due to this huge betrayal. Honestly, at the end of the first book, I just went, why? How? What? Because you have a little bit of a like, okay, is this going to turn out nicely? Of course it's not going to turn out nicely. And this is the ramifications of it. Next book that I got is actually a poetry collection. It is Fierce Fairytales by Nikita Gill. My friend pointed this out to me in chapters. She said that she loved Nikita's first poetry collection, so I can't remember. She said she was planning to get it or was already got it. By the way, anyone who knows me knows that I am obsessed with fairy tales. Like, I've written papers on fairy tales. My first novel is a retelling of a fairy tale. And so buying something like this that has this beautiful cover, like look at that little Schlaf Foxche wolf person. And like the fact that there's an entire poetry book about this, and I also love poetry, was so intriguing. I just went, okay, I'm buying it. I mean, this was $20.99 Canadian, and I just said, no, I don't care. I'm buying it. I don't care that's a tiny little thing. I'm buying it. So, I have to. I have no impulse control when it comes to fairy tales and poems and beautiful covers with this type of design. The final book that I got is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. I've heard good things about this. I haven't watched a review yet on BookTube, but it's been everywhere really, in book hauls and on chapters, you know, bestsellers and new releases. And honestly, this cover is just beautiful. It's like, the shadow makes it so mysterious, and then that very piercing gaze right there. Like, how are you not intrigued by it? The book is a YA story about a Viking. That is new. I've never read anything like this, so I'm very interested. And to be honest, I was very hesitant about picking it up because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I probably should have taken it out from the library instead, but honestly, this cover is so beautiful and I've heard such good things. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it. I had a gift card, and so yeah. This book follows Aileen, which I think is how you pronounce it, who's part of the Aska clansmen, and she fights against their warring clan. and she has this personal vendetta because she watched them kill her brother 5 years ago. But all of a sudden she's captured by this opposing clan and finds out that her brother actually joined them. He didn't die. What? And as she gets to know this clan that she's being held prisoner by, she also gets to know her brother's new friend Fisk, who she basically has to trust. And throughout this book, she deals with her brother's betrayal and also trying to get these two clans to stop fighting against each other and to join forces, because otherwise something bad might happen to both of them and all of them, as well as her growing feelings for Fisk. Ooh. I'm really looking forward to reading this book that is going to have a kicking butt female protagonist, because I love that and I want to see her use that axe. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Another reason why I want to read this is because I am of Dutch heritage, and from what I know, Dutch people used to be Vikings long ago, so it's kind of like a family reunion for me, you know, as much as it is fictional. As for the catch-up portion of this video, I am back in school now. I know it's only been a year since I graduated with my BA in English, but finding a job has been somewhat difficult, and I also have always been drawn to libraries. So I decided to enroll in the Library Information and Technology Diploma program at the university where I graduated from. It's a 2-year program. I'm going full-time, so it hopefully will be just 2 years. It's much more technical than English Lit is, of course, and creative writing, but I find it very interesting because I'm learning through this class. I'm only in my first semester, but I'm learning that I really love the idea of helping the community learn and grow in a way that doesn't require you to buy things. I mean, I buy a lot of books, which is my way of supporting authors, but I think another way to support them, both them and the community, is saying, here's this book, here you go. You don't have to pay for it, just return it on time. So it's something I'm finding is a big passion of mine, and there's other aspects to being a librarian that are really cool. I won't become a librarian through this program, but I will be a librarian technician. If I wanted to be a full librarian, I have to do a master's, which would take a long time. I don't really know if I want to do that yet, but being a library tech would be really cool. As for my writing, I've been submitting my first novel to various publishers. I've been rejected a few times now, which is fine. I would rather a publisher love my book than be you know, meh about it and not really put in the effort of marketing it. So I really want to say the title that I have for it right now, because it's the title I want for it, but I don't know if, you know, a future publisher would say, we like it, we just want you to change the title, so I'm not going to say it. So, yeah. Anyways, fingers crossed that I'll one day get a acceptance letter in the mail. That'd be really cool. So, yeah. That's all I have for you guys today. That's my little catch-up and my big haul. So, yeah. Love you guys so much. Keep reading, keep writing.